Oh, hello there. Didn't see you there. Are you all ready for story time? Well, let me get dressed real quick. That's better. Follow me. Well, are you ready for story time? So am I. Today's story is about the great Jedi Knight, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, you may remember Obi-Wan Kenobi from the movie Revenge of the Sith, in which we last saw him. And this was after Order 66, in which he fled to Tatooine with Luke Skywalker and dropped him off to his aunt and uncle to watch over him. And then we didn't see him again until Luke met him in A New Hope. Now, this story takes place between those times, and it is one of struggle. So let's dig in. From the Journals of Old Ben Kenobi, the last of his breed. While searching for answers in his quest to become a Jedi, Luke Skywalker has uncovered a journal written by Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. A journal that Kenobi specifically left behind for Luke to find. The journal details Kenobi's adventures during the time he was in hiding on Tatooine. What follows is an excerpt from that journal. It is a typically hot and sandy day on Tatooine, but what makes it worse is the ongoing drought. A group of Jabba's bruisers pick on a humble moisture farmer and despoil him of all the water he has. They do not care that it took him months to harvest, or that he needs it to trade for goods to care for his children. When the farmer tells them they can't take it, one of the goons takes the opportunity to let the farmer know he is acting on the authority of Jabba. Then, after smacking the farmer across the face with his blaster, the goon throws back the jug and starts downing the water. That's when the wandering Ben Kenobi comes upon the situation. He writes in his journal, "As hard as it was to become a Jedi, it was even harder to stop being one. But I did." Kenobi had chosen to ignore the scum and villainy before him and simply passes by. By the time of the Great Drought, it had been years since Kenobi had touched a lightsaber. He had spent years alone hiding on Tatooine. No longer the great Jedi Master, no longer General Obi-Wan Kenobi, just Ben the Hermit living out in the Dune Sea, a place only Tusken Raiders dared go. No longer fighting against Sith Lords and bounty hunters, he spent his time fighting off monotony and inactivity as the days blended together. His thoughts wander as he believes he should be busier than ever training the boy. But even if he had the blessing of the uncle, there is hesitancy because the last Skywalker he trained was gone. Though he couldn't train the boy, he still had a job to do. As a band of hooligans approaches the Lars Homestead, Kenobi suddenly appears beside their speeder, and with a slight wave of his hand says, "You've taken enough water for the day. You should head back to Jabba's before a dust storm comes, and I should mind my own business." The classic Kenobi mind trick had worked, and the thug, convinced of his authority over the situation, leaves accordingly. Being unable to train the boy meant Kenobi's one job was to protect him at all costs. Later meditating on his dire position, he considers how he is living on a planet ruled by Jabba the Hutt, who cared very little for the citizens of Tatooine, who were dying while the gangster lavished himself with their spoils. And Kenobi was doing nothing about it. He says, "You never trained me for this, Master Qui-Gon. You never taught me how to fade away." Another day, Kenobi makes his way to the market to sell black melons, a fruit that grows in the Genlan Waste. The melons have a hard rocky shell, but enclosed inside is a refreshing yet horrible tasting milk. Kenobi is turned away by the merchant and quickly stumbles upon another group of thugs relinquishing the people of the water they worked so hard to harvest. When the thugs turn their blasters on the people, they are bewildered when they all simultaneously misfire. Kenobi's Jedi interference allowed the people to rise up and chase off their assailants. However, Kenobi regretted this action, and he decided after that day he would no longer be paying visits to that town with all its scum and villainy. That night, while meditating on the strength and nobility that lies within restraint, he feels a disturbance in the Force. Owen and Beru are out in the night with flashlights searching for the young Luke Skywalker. Luke was on a mission to take back the stolen water and has crossed paths with some of Jabba's goons. In classic Skywalker fashion, he tells them he's not afraid of them. As the thugs attempt to take Luke, the lights on their land speeder go out. The thugs have no idea what's going on as Kenobi one by one picks them off. Luke gets knocked unconscious as one of the thugs pushes him out of the way. But Kenobi completely overpowers them, leaving them battered and crushed. Luke is returned home safely and being watched over by the great Jedi Master, Obi-Wan Kenobi. The farmers got their water back, enough to see them to the end of the drought. But Jabba is enraged, vowing to scour the desert to find the thief who jumped his guise and got the farmers their water back. The problem for Jabba is, no one saw a thing. No one knows what the thief looks like, or what to call him. Once again feeling himself, Kenobi writes, "My name is Obi-Wan Kenobi, the last of my order. But this is not the end of the Jedi. All it took was a young boy's courage to assure me of that. Let us hope that someday soon I can tell that boy this story, and so many others." The story ends with Luke in his X-Wing reading this last line as he asks R2 to steer for a while as he figures out where the Force is leading him to next. So this is a story about struggling to take action, struggling to fit in, struggling with identity. Think of how hard it must have been to have been something your entire life and just have to forget that you were once a great Jedi Knight, because to do otherwise would be too dangerous. This is probably the greatest test Obi-Wan ever had to go through, was just living in exile on Tatooine. And towards the end of episode 3, we do know that Obi-Wan had made a vow, and vows are important to the Jedi, and he held it up by watching over Luke every day he lived on Tatooine. I really hope you enjoyed this story. If you noticed something in the story that I didn't talk about, please write it down in the comments and we'll chat about it. And don't forget to like and subscribe and ring that bell so you can stay updated as to the next story time. Goodbye.